Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making a reversible bandeau bikini top. And this pattern is going to be pretty easy. This whole tutorial is pretty easy, so it's very beginner friendly. I would recommend it if you're just starting out. So for materials, we're going to have our fabric, elastic, just pins, rotary cutter, and a pattern, the normal things that we typically use. I printed out the PDF pattern for the Flynn top, cut out each piece. I'm making a size small, and I'm going to be taping them together. And like I said, this is the pattern for the Flynn top, which is already an existing pattern. If you have bought it, you don't need to buy a different bandeau pattern. It'll work either way. And what we'll be doing is, instead of putting straps on, we will just leave them out. So if you're familiar with the Flynn top tutorial, this is very, very similar. And I have gotten a lot of questions on this pattern since the back is shorter than the front. They don't line up, and that is intentional. Obviously, women, their fronts are going to be a little bit more voluptuous than their backs. So that is why I did that, and I really like the fit. So I'm going to be using cheetah, which is going to be my primary outside fabric, and on the inside I'm using this kind of nude color. So as usual, I'm going to be cutting out my pieces. I'm cutting 2 of the front and 2 of the back, which, since I'm doing reversible fabrics, it's going to be 1 in each fabric for each piece.
From the get-go to the final blow, yeah, you got a different kind of heart. You were a merry-go-round. I was the fire that burned you to the ground. We love like we didn't care.
So just going back, I'm going to cut my pieces in the nude fabric. If you look in the top left corner of this frame, that is my dog's nose, in case you were wondering what that is. And usually what I'll do is, once I cut out my first pieces, since I don't include allowance in the pattern, so you need to leave about 1/4 inch of allowance, I just use the same piece instead of using the pattern over to make sure that I can cut with equal seam allowance. So next we're going to match nude with nude and cheetah with cheetah, right sides together. We're going to sew along the sides. And since the back is a little bit shorter than the front, as you can see, I'm going to have to finagle it a little bit to match up the sides.
When we started off, it sure was a different kind of love. Should I get up? Should I get up and run? Stop it right before.
So you'll do this with both pieces, but in the nude fabric, we're going to leave a 1-inch hole when we're sewing the sides. This hole will allow us to make the top completely reversible. And I'll show you what that looks like on a sewing machine.
Thoughts are spinning round in my head. Our boss holds it down.
So I'm going to be using my serger for this. If you don't have a serger, use a zigzag stitch. And I'm just going in, sewing the sides. This is the cheetah one, so I'm making 2 continuous stitches.
And I know how it goes.
And switching over to the nude, I'm going to be doing 1 continuous and then 1 with a hole.
Too bad you had to.
So I'm going to stop,
Please come back.
flip it around, and then stop about 1 inch from where I stopped last time.
Said you changed and a lot.
So I'm going to go in and just trim. You don't really need to do this because sergers will cut that, but it is a nice step. And for where we left that little 1-inch hole, I do like to tie the chains so that the stitch is extra secure.
You're my soul, my heart, my beautiful. You're my first, my last, my wonderful.
Now the next step is we're going to take one of our pieces to the right side. So I'm taking my nude and I'm inserting it inside of the cheetah. So by doing this, right sides should be together. And I'm going to start off by just sewing the top edge.
Million thoughts are flying from my head. Let's kiss them.
And note that we are not going to be sewing the bottom in this step. And that is intentional. If you try to sew them both at the same time, you will run into mistakes.
And I wanna let it show, but I know how it
So going in again with my serger and attaching these. If you're doing this correctly, you should only be sewing through 2 layers of fabric and they should be right sides together. Next, we're going to go in with our elastic. I'm using, in this tutorial, 1/2 inch rubber elastic. And I got my elastic from sewsassy.com, which I will make sure to link. And since I want the cheetah to be the dominant side, I'm going to sew the elastic on top of the cheetah side. It doesn't make a huge difference, but it does rest a little bit nicer if you do it this way. While sewing elastic on top, I like to lengthen my stitch length, and I make sure to not put any tension on the elastic nor onto the fabric itself. Now that we've done that, we're going to take it to the right side and make sure it's all lined up, which it is. This step is crucial, otherwise you will end up with a weird blob. So make sure that you take it to the right side before continuing. Now we're going to reach through the 1-inch hole that we left and match up those 2 seams down there. We're going to want to sew the bottom edge right sides together once more. So I'm just starting by holding those 2 layers of fabric together, and I'm just gonna take the whole suit to the inside out. If you're doing this correctly, the rest of the suit should be sandwiched inside. And you should only be sewing 2 layers at a time. If you're hitting 4 layers, you're doing it wrong. Life with no distractions, we'll get away. This is what we waited for. So you'll see, as I'm sewing, I'm able to pull the rest of the swimsuit out. And through this process, I'm able to finish the rest of the seams of the inside of the suit. I'm done living life with the lights out, down with my own doubts. So I've had a lot of you ask me questions about, sometimes they'll just end up with this weird tube thing that doesn't have 2 sides to it. And so it'll look like this, except your right side of the fabric will be out. So instead of seeing the white, you'll see the cheetah on the outside. And the reason that that's happening is because you didn't take it to the right side out and then go back through that hole that we left. So now I'm just going to go back in with our elastic and attach that right back on. This is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, down with my own doubts. This is my cat after she caused so much trouble in the beginning. Now she's just happy to be here. So now we have this, and we're going to find our 1-inch hole, and we're going to take the entire suit back to the right side. With that hole, you're either going to top stitch it or you're going to hand stitch it if you want it to be completely reversible, which I like to use a invisible stitch. And here is the final product. This is a really easy, basic top. One thing I will say about the Flynn pattern is it does run a little bit small, but that's nice because in the case of a bandeau, you do not want it to fall off. So this fits pretty tight on me. I honestly should have been a medium, but it's great for beginners and I highly recommend you try it. So thank you for watching. I'm excited for the next couple weeks. I have some fun videos planned and I hope you will join me. With me.